This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. And today I have the incredible Kendra Beavis from Mocha Creative. Kendra, thank you so much for being a part of the Shine On You Crazy Daisy book and podcast. Please tell us about your business.
Thank you so much for having me, Trudy. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be part of this collaboration and your third volume of this book. So Mocha is a design and branding agency that I started 20 years ago when I was a wee graphic designer, just getting out into the world. And I had a business or taken a position in Manhattan. And I thought it was my absolute dream job. And when I got there, I was absolutely shocked that it was not anything that I thought it was going to be. It was so out of alignment for myself. So that's when I left and started my freelance career and started Mocha.
So you talk about failure being a best friend.
Yes.
How do you look at failure like that?
Because and it's easy to look back in hindsight, but every quote unquote failure I've ever had has always catapulted me into the correct direction. I use it as a guidepost. I use it for a way to gain more information. I try and look at it like, there's no move you can make that's technically a failure if you're not learning something from it, if it's not pushing you in I believe that the universe always has our back, sort of. So, when I turn a direction and it's not quite the right way, I sort of get this gentle nudge, like, okay, let's go in the other way, because that's going to be more in alignment. And, there's so many things that I've learned from failure, that about myself, about my business, about my life, about what I want, about who I want to be. So I look at them as my biggest blessings.
I just love that you're talking about that, because so many people, when they fail, in inverted commas, feel like they can't come back from that. And when you can look at failure as your best friend, it's like you want to give it a hug and say,
yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've learned so much.
Yeah. And removes the fear too. Because I see a lot of people that get blocked and they just can't take another step forward because they're so petrified that it's going to be the wrong step. But when you remove the fear from the idea of, making a choice, and it could be the wrong choice, you don't have that fear anymore. You can just keep moving forward and know that you can course correct.
Yeah. One of the other things that you talk about is the clearly defined core values and mission that are an important part of starting and growing your business. But how do you maintain these, and what happens when they fall out of alignment?
It's constant. You constantly have to look at your core values. So I created this method that I'm going to be helping a lot of women move past their own blocks and own their own new life. A lot of people have gotten through different things, traumas and divorce, separation, addiction, whatever it may be. When you get to this certain point, you have to kind of look back and see, all right, where am I now? How do I want to feel? And who am I? I'm, when I got divorced from my ex-husband, I was 32 and I was pregnant with my daughter, and I already had my son. So I really had to think, okay, well, who am I at this point right now in my life? What's important to me, and how do I want to move forward? So once I set those core values, you can sort of make decisions aligned and based on that. And now, you're growing, you're getting older, whatever is changing in your life, you always kind of have to check back in and like, is that something that's still important to me? Is that something that still is in alignment with who I am? and right now in this point in my life. So checking back in and kind of doing maintenance is a really important part of creating this persona and living your true self. And when I feel like things are out of alignment, that's when I kind of do that check-in, like, okay, wait, something's changed, something's different. So yeah, that's kind of how I keep going.
And you're talking about life being a big part of having these clearly defined. I've actually not thought about having those clearly defined for life, because everything that I do is connected with business.
Right. Well, they're the same.
Yeah.
I'm a brand designer most days. So when I realized that, coming up with your core values as a person and creating this personal brand to live by, more than just to create a business or to show up as an entrepreneur, it's the same process. When I'm branding a company, I look at all the different things around in that industry, and you can kind of do the same as when you're trying to figure out who you want to be and what your core is. Look at the people that you admire in your life and sort of cherry pick from, well, this works for them and that feels right for me, and I like that, but I don't like that, and kind of create this little vision board of who you want to be so you can have this true north to move forward.
Amazing. Oh, I love talking about this. Now, what you did talk about in the chapter is that status and judgment through the pandemic are things that you had to navigate. But what decisions did this help you with?
Judgment. Can you ask that again? I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember what it was.
Through the pandemic, that you've been through some judgment and
okay.
And that you had to navigate through that.
Well, as far as letting my office go?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So judgment is tough. And I think, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you have a business model in your head or something in front of you that feels like, oh, well, that's the way I'm supposed to do this. So when the pandemic hit, I spent a lot of years sort of fighting with myself about what my business model should look like, based on what I was seeing other people do and who were quote unquote successful. So when the pandemic hit and we were doing really well and we hadn't been in the office in months, I was like, wait a minute. And my team was much happier. They were working from all over the world. It was really amazing. So I really had to think about, like, am I doing this just for perception? And do I really care what people think? If we are admittedly way more successful not being in a physical building versus, having the building and the sushi lunches and all these office selfies, like, what was I really doing there? So letting go of that judgment of what that would look like now, working from home again, and having to wrestle with the idea of, like, is this a step back? Is it a step forward? And it's a lot of trust too. But not that I don't care about what people think, but the proof was in the pudding. I mean, we were making more, everyone was happier. So it was kind of an obvious choice. I just had to sort of get past that perception in my head of what a successful business looks like.
Wow. So when you were talking about judgment, and in the chapter, you're talking about your own judgment of how you were perceiving having an office, the status of having an office, and those selfies being taken.
Yes.
And when you're actually not that kind of person.
No.
So weird when you can look back and go, crikey, I was putting that all on myself. And when you can let it go.
Yes.
That's massive.
Yes. I know. I thought I had gotten past that in so many different areas of my life. And it's so funny because you think you work on something and you're like, all right, I got that. And then it comes up again. You're like, damn it. All right. I see you. I recognize you. Let's fix it. We'll course correct.
What's one lesson that you've learned that you would want every entrepreneur to know?
That you're allowed to change at any point that you want. I think that's the coolest part about being an entrepreneur. I originally, when I started freelancing, one of my big focuses was wedding invitations. And the reason was I love tactile paper crafts. And I was a bride at the time. And my business has changed throughout the years based on kind of what I enjoy doing. So don't be afraid to shift, even though, you've been doing something for a certain amount of years. If you want to try something new, go try it. Like there's nothing stopping you.
Your business, your rules.
Yeah.
What's your favorite piece of business software?
Oh, I'm obsessing over ClickUp. First of all, like project management system is an absolute necessity. You must have one. We have too much coming in and out all the time to ever stay on top of it with paper or in my head, and especially if you have a team, even if you don't, put one in place, because if you're going to scale, if you're going to expand, you're going to need it in the future anyway, and it'll just make your life more peaceful. But ClickUp is amazing. I can get projects in there on the fly. My team knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I see all my client feedback in there. We can see what stage the projects are at. We never lose anything. And I think one of the most obvious things I've seen is all my little tabs on my browser. I can put them away and close them because the thing I needed to have it up there to remember, I can just throw right into ClickUp. So it's really, really a cool program.
I started using it and then I stopped, and I've got to get back into it. I've definitely got it. So
it's good. It's really good.
These pieces of software that we buy and then we don't use. But
yeah.
Yes. No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Kendra. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And thank you so much for being a part of the book and for talking about this sense of failure and how we can change our perception of that and other things.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books Shine On You Crazy Daisy and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.